Welcome to this deep dive where we'll be going way beyond just the basic story of Abraham.
Yeah, really influential guy, right?
Definitely one of the most influential figures in history.
For sure.
But we're really focusing in on Genesis chapter 25.
Okay.
Which covers this fascinating period in his life that I don't think a lot of people know as much about as the earlier stories.
Yeah, so we're going beyond just Sarah and Hagar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you might think you know Abraham's story.
Right.
Get ready for some details that I think will surprise you.
Yeah.
And reveal a lot about his family dynamics and the legacy he leaves behind.
Yeah, the ripple effects of all his decisions.
Exactly. So it's this chapter takes us past the familiar story.
Yeah.
It paints a much more complex portrait of his whole family.
Yeah, way more complex for sure.
And kind of gives us a little bit of a hint at the potential conflicts that will shape the future of all of his descendants.
It really does, yeah. And it kind of picks up after Sarah's death.
Okay.
And Abraham marries Keturah.
Right. And has 6 more sons with her.
6 more sons.
6?
Yeah, that's a lot.
Can you imagine?
I mean, even today.
I know. That's a big family.
That's a lot of kids.
And, you got to think about the time that this is happening.
Right.
In the promise that God made to Abraham.
Okay.
To have descendants as numerous as the stars.
Right. It just adds this whole other layer of complexity.
It does.
To an already kind of complex situation.
It does. And I think it's important to remember that we have to look at this through the lens of the time that this was happening.
Okay.
And, taking multiple wives wasn't uncommon back then.
Yeah.
Especially in that culture.
Yeah.
For example, ancient Egypt.
Okay.
The pharaoh would have a primary wife.
Okay.
Who held a position of power.
Okay.
And then he'd have several secondary wives.
Oh, wow.
So it was a common practice in that part of the world.
It's just such a good reminder that it's so important to understand the historical context.
Of it, what we're reading in these stories.
Be sure.
To really understand it, right? So we've got this big blended family.
Yeah.
And anyone who's been part of a blended family or even just seen it from the outside.
Right.
The question of inheritance.
Always comes up.
Right.
Yeah.
So Abraham, he gives everything he owns to Isaac, his son, with Sarah.
Yeah.
But he does provide gifts for the sons of his concubines.
Okay.
Before sending them away.
To the east.
Yeah. Have you ever been in a situation where someone clearly favored one sibling over another?
It's always so awkward.
It's you just wonder how those other sons felt.
Right.
Especially Ishmael.
Right, because he's his son too.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
He was the firstborn.
Yeah, it does make you wonder if there was some resentment there.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think, even though the text doesn't explicitly say how they felt.
Right.
You can't help but wonder if they felt sidelined a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially Ishmael, who'd already been separated from his father earlier in the story.
Yeah, and it's hard to not think about that when you consider God's promise to Abraham.
Right. The divine promise.
About his descendants inheriting the land.
Yeah. Was that just for Isaac's line?
Right.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Was it only meant for them?
Well, that's where this whole idea of the covenant comes in.
Okay.
This promise wasn't just about inheriting land.
Right.
It was about a spiritual lineage.
Okay.
That was tied to God's chosen people.
Okay.
And it was specifically passed down through Isaac.
Okay.
And that made him the link to fulfilling God's plan.
So it's not just family drama.
No.
It's a much deeper spiritual significance.
Yes.
Connected to this covenant
right.
and the future of a whole nation.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Okay.
It's pretty huge.
Yeah.
When you think about it that way.
So speaking of significance.
Okay.
Let's move on to Abraham's death and burial.
Oh, yeah.
He lived a long life.
175 years.
I know.
That's incredible.
175 years. And then was buried next to Sarah.
Right.
In the cave of Machpelah.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this detail that stands out.
Okay.
It says that both Isaac and Ishmael buried their father together.
Oh, wow. Together.
Yeah.
That is very interesting.
Right.
Yeah. It's a very significant detail.
Yeah.
I think it hints at a reconciliation.
Oh, okay.
Despite any past tensions or feelings of being less favored.
Yeah.
Perhaps that shared grief.
Okay.
Over losing their father.
Yeah.
Helped mend things between them.
It kind of makes you think about even in ancient times, family dynamics were so complex, right?
Yeah, sure.
And just full of these moments of tension.
Yeah.
But also connection.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's a really powerful image.
Yeah.
These two brothers, once separated,
right.
coming together to bury their father.
Yeah.
And then right after the burial, the chapter just jumps into these super detailed genealogies
Oh, yeah.
of both Ishmael and Isaac,
Okay.
like listing all their sons and grandsons.
Okay.
Each of them had 12 sons.
12 each.
Yeah, who went on to become like princes of their own nations.
Wow.
It's like, why this deep dive
Right?
to family trees all of a
Yeah,
sudden?
you're reading along.
Right.
And then suddenly there's all these lists of names.
It's like, wait, what's going on?
It's easy to skip over them.
Yeah.
But they're actually super important to the story.
Okay.
They show how God's promise to Abraham was fulfilled.
Okay.
You know, that his descendants would be like as numerous as the stars.
Right.
And they'd create all these great nations.
Right.
And here we see that happening.
Wow.
It's all starting to take shape.
Yeah, it's like watching the seeds of this vast, interconnected future
Yeah.
being planted,
It's really amazing.
like right in front of us.
Yeah, and each of those names represents the
Mhm.
potential for expansion,
Right.
for influence.
Yeah.
You know, a whole new generation carrying this weight
Wow.
of the promise made to Abraham.
Okay, so then we get to this other turning point in this story.
Okay.
The focus shifts to Isaac and Rebekah
Okay.
and the challenges they face in like continuing this legacy.
Okay.
They actually struggle with infertility
Okay.
before finally conceiving
Oh, wow.
twins.
Twins.
Nice.
Double the blessing,
Right.
but also double the potential for drama.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it gets intense,
Okay.
even before they're born.
Oh, no.
Rebekah feels them struggling in her womb
Oh, wow.
and seeks guidance from God.
That must have been so scary for her.
I know, just full of anxiety and uncertainty.
Yeah, and the answer she gets from God
Okay.
is this prophecy
Okay.
that like totally changes the traditional hierarchy of inheritance
Okay.
and sets the stage for a huge rivalry
Okay.
that would echo through generations.
Okay.
God tells Rebekah that 2 nations are in your womb,
Wow.
and 2 peoples from within you will be separated.
Well.
One people will be stronger than the other,
Okay.
and the older will serve the younger. Oh, wow. Talk about a plot twist.
Yeah, big time.
Wow. Okay,
Wow.
so let's meet these twins
Yeah.
who are destined for greatness.
Right.
But also, it seems,
Yeah.
conflict.
Right from the beginning.
Yeah. So first out is Esau,
Okay.
described as being red and hairy,
Interesting.
suggesting this connection to like the physical world.
Yeah.
And then comes Jacob,
Okay.
born grasping onto Esau's heel.
Like he's trying to pull him back.
Right.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's trying to get a head start.
Yeah, even from birth.
Yeah, and those physical details about them, it's
Yeah.
like they're not just random descriptions,
Right.
they're foreshadowing their personalities
Yeah.
and their destinies.
Esau the outdoorsman, the
Yeah.
hunter,
Right.
Jacob, more the quiet type.
Right.
Maybe a little more cunning.
And then we get to this moment
Yeah.
where Esau comes in from hunting,
Okay.
famished,
Starving.
and he trades his birthright to Jacob for a bowl of stew.
Really?
I know, for some food.
It makes you think, right?
Yeah. Have you ever made like a small decision
Huh?
that ended up having huge consequences later on?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, me too.
And this story highlights how even like seemingly insignificant choices
Yeah.
can like shape our destinies.
Exactly. And remember, back then, the birthright wasn't just about stuff.
Okay.
It was about leadership,
Okay.
inheriting the covenant blessings,
Okay.
and a spiritual connection
Right.
to God's promises.
Wow.
So Esau, in that moment of hunger,
Yeah.
throws away a legacy
Right.
that had huge significance for his family's future.
It's incredible how this chapter packs in so much drama and foreshadowing.
Right.
We've gone from Abraham's expanded family
Yeah.
to like the complexities of inheritance,
Right.
a glimpse of like reconciliation.
Yeah.
And now the seeds of this rivalry,
Between the twins,
that's going to have like a major impact on the future.
it all leads to this question.
Okay.
Knowing the struggles that would happen between Isaac's sons, could Abraham have done things differently?
Right.
Could he have prevented the conflict that was coming?
That's a good question.
Yeah, we'll dive more into that next time.
Okay. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
We left off with Esau like making that split-second decision.
Yeah, just trading his birthright away
Right.
for a bowl of stew.
It really makes you think about what's important,
Totally.
like what we really value in life.
Right. Do we go for the instant gratification?
Yeah.
Or do we think about the long-term consequences?
Right.
Esau's story is like this huge reminder
Yeah.
that those choices
Yeah.
can have a lasting impact.
Okay, so this story isn't over yet.
Oh, no.
Years later,
Okay.
Isaac is old
Okay.
and his eyesight is failing.
Oh, no.
And he decides it's time to give his blessing
Okay.
to his firstborn son.
Okay, so to Esau.
Right.
Okay.
But
You know?
family dynamics.
Yeah, never simple.
Right.
No.
Rebecca overhears this plan
Okay.
and decides to step in.
Oh, wow.
And what happens next is just wild.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
It's like this tale of cunning and deception.
Okay.
Rebecca, favoring Jacob,
Okay.
comes up with this whole plan
Okay.
to trick Isaac.
Into blessing Jacob.
Yes.
Wow, bold move.
Right.
Yeah.
So she disguises Jacob
Okay.
using animal skins.
To make him hairy like Esau.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then prepares this delicious meal.
Oh, knowing that Isaac loves wild game.
Yeah.
Oh, she thought of everything.
It's like something out of a movie.
It really is.
All this deception and family rivalry.
Yeah.
A mother manipulating her husband. I mean, can you imagine the tension in that room?
Oh, yeah.
As Jacob, disguised as Esau,
All right.
approaches his blind father.
Oh, my gosh.
And it works.
Wow, she pulled it off.
Isaac, totally believing he's talking to Esau,
Yeah.
gives the blessing of the firstborn
Wow.
to Jacob.
So Jacob gets the blessing that was meant for Esau.
Right.
Okay.
And remember, this blessing isn't just about like material stuff.
Right, it's way more than that.
It signifies spiritual favor
Yeah.
and leadership within the family.
It's huge.
It makes you wonder, like, was this all part of a bigger plan?
Right.
Was Jacob always meant to receive the blessing?
Yeah, was this fate?
Or did Rebecca's actions, like, mess with the natural order of things?
It's a question people have been debating for centuries. Yeah, I don't think there's an easy answer.
Not at all. But we do know that what happened next
Yeah.
had a huge impact
Okay.
because Esau finds out
Uh-oh.
and he's devastated.
Can you imagine?
Oh, it's heartbreak.
To find out you've been tricked like that?
Yeah, by your own brother and mother.
It's just this overwhelming sense of betrayal and loss.
And Esau's furious.
Yeah, I bet.
He wants to kill Jacob.
Oh, wow.
Rebecca, knowing this,
Yeah.
urges Jacob to run away.
To flee.
Yeah.
Wow. So from a stolen blessing
Yeah.
to this like brotherly feud
Yeah.
that forces Jacob into exile.
It's like one thing leads to another.
It really is like a domino effect. Yeah. And it just shows how actions have consequences that can affect generations to come.
And that exile ends up changing Jacob.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he goes to Haran,
Okay.
works for his uncle Laban,
Okay.
and like matures and faces all these challenges.
He grows a lot during this time.
Yeah, he builds his own family
Okay.
and even wrestles with God
Wow.
and gets a new name,
What's his new name?
Israel,
Israel.
which, as we know, will become synonymous with.
The nation
Right.
that descends from him.
So in a way, this conflict
Yeah.
that started with that stolen blessing
Yeah.
leads to the birth of a nation.
Wow. It's amazing how these personal struggles can be part of these larger historical events.
It really is.
And speaking of family struggles,
Okay.
Jacob's family has some drama too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he falls in love with Rachel,
Okay.
Laban's younger daughter,
Okay.
but gets tricked into marrying Leah.
The older sister.
First, deception seems to run in the family.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
Like, first, Jacob deceives his father,
Yeah.
and now he's the one being deceived.
It's like this pattern repeating itself.
Exactly.
And this just adds another layer of complexity
Okay.
because Jacob ends up marrying both sisters
Oh, wow.
and has kids with them
Okay.
and their maidservants.
Wow, that's a lot of relationships.
Yeah, it's complicated.
Yeah, and I'm sure you can guess what happens next.
Oh, no more jealousy and rivalry.
Yep, and power struggles.
Oh my gosh, it's like a never-ending cycle.
Right.
But remember, God's promise to Abraham
Okay.
was that his descendants would become a great nation,
Right.
and it's through Jacob's 12 sons,
Okay.
each representing a different tribe,
Okay.
that this promise starts to become real.
Okay.
It's not just family drama anymore, it's
Uh.
the foundation of a nation.
Wow, so even like all the messy parts,
Yeah.
the betrayals,
Yeah.
the power struggles are
Yeah.
all part of this bigger story
Yes.
of a people finding their identity
Exactly.
and their purpose.
It's like this tapestry being woven with all these different threads and colors and textures
Yeah.
that create this beautiful design.
It's a beautiful way to put it.
And even with all the chaos,
Yeah.
there's moments of hope
Okay.
and divine intervention.
Okay.
Remember, Jacob wrestles with God,
Right.
gets a new name, Israel,
Right.
and eventually reconciles with Esau.
Oh, wow.
It shows that even the biggest rifts can be healed.
Yeah, it's a really powerful message
Yeah.
that still resonates with us today. It's really been something, huh?
Yeah. Quite a journey.
Following Jacob and all the twists and turns,
Yeah, he's really been through a lot.
family drama, trickery.
Exile.
Yeah. And now he's emerged as
Israel.
the father of a nation.
It's kind of amazing when you think about it that way.
Yeah, but as we know, his story
Doesn't end there.
right? The story keeps going.
Yeah, it's like we're zooming out now.
Oh,
we're
yeah.
moving from just the family stuff
Right.
to like the bigger picture.
To like the whole nation.
Yeah, the history of a nation.
And all those themes we've been talking about.
Right, the favoritism,
Yeah.
rivalry.
The birthright.
They all play a role
Yeah.
in shaping what happens to Israel's descendants.
It's like they're woven into their story,
Totally.
like shaping their destiny.
Exactly. And remember, Jacob's 12 sons,
Yeah.
each one becomes the head of a tribe,
Oh.
like the ancestor of
Yeah.
a whole lineage
Wow.
that becomes part of the Israelite nation.
It's like watching a family tree
Yeah.
branching out,
And growing.
with each branch like bearing fruit.
Yeah, and influencing the next generation.
That's a powerful image.
It really is. You
Yeah.
know, from one man,
The whole nation.
a whole nation is born.
Yeah, but
But
it's not easy.
Right. It's definitely not a smooth process.
There's conflict,
Yeah.
betrayal,
Power struggles.
just like we saw in Jacob's family.
And the story of Joseph is a great example.
One of Jacob's sons,
Yeah.
he's actually favored by his father.
But his brothers are jealous. And they sell him into slavery.
No way.
Yeah, it's like another echo
Yeah.
of that rivalry between Jacob and Esau.
It just shows you how strong those feelings can be.
Total.
Jealousy and resentment,
Yeah.
it could lead to some terrible things.
It's a dark part of the story.
Yeah.
But even in those moments,
Yeah.
there's hope.
Okay.
Joseph goes through so much hardship,
Right.
but he ends up in a position of power
Okay.
in Egypt. And he uses that power
Yeah.
to save his family
Well,
and his people from famine.
it's like what he went through
Yeah.
made him stronger.
More resilient.
Yeah. Wise.
It makes you think about the challenges we face in our own lives
Yeah, for sure.
and how they might be preparing us
Yeah.
for something greater.
It's like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Right.
And the story of Joseph and his brothers,
Yeah.
it also shows the power of forgiveness.
Yeah, and reconciliation.
Like we saw with Jacob and Esau.
Right, even after all that pain.
They find a way to come back together.
And it sets the stage for what happens next.
Right. The Israelites going to Egypt, where they'll face new challenges
Yeah.
and become a distinct people.
It's incredible how this whole story.
Oh, no, it's amazing.
Right.
Starts with like just one family
Right.
and becomes this like national epic.
Yeah, we start with Abraham.
A man chosen by God
Right.
to be the father of a nation.
And we see all the complexities.
Yeah, rivalries, betrayals.
Reconciliation,
Yeah.
all shaping the destiny of his descendants.
And now those descendants are about to enter a whole new era.
Yeah, a new chapter.
It's a reminder that our own stories are connected
Yeah, to something bigger.
to these larger narratives.
Yeah, our choices, relationships, challenges.
They all have these ripple effects.
They go way beyond ourselves.
Well, listeners, we've come to the end of our deep dive.
Into the life and legacy of Abraham.
We've explored his family, his struggles, his triumphs,
Yeah,
and the impact he had on the world.
it's an incredible story.
And we encourage you to keep exploring,
The book of Genesis.
to go deeper into the stories of his descendants
And see how all these themes
we talked about today
keep unfolding.
in new and surprising ways.
And as you read,
Think about your own family history.
the choices made by your ancestors.
Yeah, and how those choices have shaped your life.
And the world around you.
Keep questioning, keep exploring.
And keep diving deep